November 6, 2023. This is the NBA Lean Show. I'm Brian. Going to go over some games in the NBA slate today. Monday, 12 games on the slate. Want to look at these here. I'm just going to pop a couple of them open. I'm going to tell you what direction I'd be looking at. I haven't done my full research, but I'll tell you the direction I would be looking at if I was going to bet these games. Okay, so let's go right into the Detroit Pistons. They're at home. The Golden State Warriors on the road. They're Warriors on a back-to-back. So let's take a look real quick. I'm just going to pop this open. Bear with me while I get these open and go through this. I'm going to just talk about how I would go about this. So obviously, the Detroit Pistons have lost 4 in a row. The last one being to the Phoenix Suns yesterday. And that game, they lost by 14. They played, they were behind the whole game. They were behind the whole game, and they weren't really competitive. As far as the Golden State Warriors, they've lost in Cleveland. Now they come in here, and they're going to play the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. They played Cleveland yesterday. They lost to Cleveland by 11 points. Same situation there. And what I would look at here is I would look at the previous matchup, and so I'm going to do that for you right now. Last couple of times, the Detroit Pistons have not only covered, but they've beaten the Warriors. So they beat the Warriors in Detroit last year, and then late last season in January, earlier this year, they beat them again in Golden State in California by a score of 122 to 119. Now, what that would tell me right away is, look, Golden State is probably going to win this game. Are they going to cover? Right now it's 7 points. Line went from 6 to 7. This line is moving in the direction of Golden State, and I will tell you that if I was going to bet the game, which I am not going to bet this game, but I'm just looking at it for the sake of this, I would look at my spreadsheets. I have all the data from these two previous teams from all the matchups, not just this year, but from years ago, and I go over that, and that's how I look at these things. But I would look probably to see if Golden State's going to cover the 7. Could I justify the 7 with Golden State? If I could not, I wouldn't bet the game. The total is down from 227 to 224, 224 and a hook. I would say, you probably would kind of look to the under to see if that's available tonight. They're both on a back-to-back. Lines down because of that, and so that's what I would think. Okay, I'm talking kind of loud. I don't know if it's coming through on that end. We'll have to check. This is my new venue. This is where I'll be shooting the videos. I appreciate you watching. Hit the follow button if you're watching right now. Hit the like button. I'm going to get into this stuff, and I got a new website coming up. I'm going to talk to you about that in the days to come. Okay, let's go to this next one. Washington Wizards. I'm going to skip around. I'm going probably 4 games today just to keep this as short as I can. Washington Wizards are going into Philadelphia to play the 76ers. Right now, line at 11 and the total at 229. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do a total on this game for my NBA play of the day, so you may want to check my reel to check into that. We're going to talk about Washington right now. The Wizards have been on the road. They've lost 3 in a row. They've been on the road. The last couple of games are on the road, third straight. They've had a 3-day rest or a 2-day rest, however you want to define that. They lost to the Miami Heat, and the Miami Heat are just atrocious right now. Okay, they're atrocious. But they did wind up, the Miami Heat did, scored 41 in the third quarter to wind up pulling away from the Wizards. Wizards came back in the fourth and beat them by 13. So kind of a mishmash going on there. Those things matter when it comes to totals. If you're watching numbers, those things matter if you're trying to calculate totals. Well, that's how I calculate totals anyway, and it works pretty well, and that's how I go about it. Now, Philadelphia 76ers, they're on a 4-game win streak. They did lose to Milwaukee by 1 point. I actually have that exact score in their opening game, 118-117, which was pretty good, I thought, for myself. But this game, you talked about yesterday, 2 days ago on Saturday, the 76ers beat the Suns by 12 points. So Philadelphia playing really well right now, and they're hosting the Wizards. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to pop open the matchup. I'm going to just go in here and talk to you about what's happening. So the 76ers beat the Wizards last year in Philadelphia in March. They haven't played yet this year. This is the first matchup. So the last 4 games, it's been kind of a 2-2 deal. 2 games win and against the spread. Usually the team that wins covers the spread in this game. That's something to look at sometimes. So But does that mean that it may not flip? It might flip today, right? So Philadelphia may win this game, and I'll tell you what I would do even though Washington has been playing and losing, I might look to see if the Wizards. This is a big number. 11 points is a big number. It's a big number, regardless. I don't care what team you're playing. Okay, I know Wizards are on the road, third straight. I know they've lost the last two games. I know Philadelphia is playing well, and that's why this number's inflated. A lot of people will play Philadelphia. 11 points may be too much. If I was going to bet this game, or if I was looking at this game to bet it, I would probably look to see if the Wizards can hang inside that number. I'd see if my numbers could justify that. If not, I'm definitely not playing Philadelphia minus 11. There's just no value there. There's just no value with a team that's been winning and covering with 11-point spread. Okay, so that's out. Now let's go to the Bucks at the Nets. Okay, and so that'll be the third game I'll look at right now. I don't want to run too long, but let's take a look at this now. The Bucks going in, they're 5.5-point favorites. Total up to 233.5. That's a high total, isn't it? I got my opinion on that. It's probably going to be a close total tonight, so we'll see what happens there. But we've had first of all, the Nets have been terrible last few years, right? So, but Brooklyn has covered two of the last four, including the last game they played. The Bucks did win that game by 5. Brooklyn was catching 9.5. And that was in March of last year, late last season, okay? So go over the last two here. Just looking at the combination, the numbers, what was scored, and how it looks here. Obviously, you know what? I'll be honest. The setup for the previous game, the last game, where the Bucks beat the Nets by 5 but didn't cover the spread, was clearly set up in the previous game. So if you look at these things as often as I do, you begin to see kind of patterns with that. So let's go over here and let's see the Bucks. The Bucks just beat the Knicks by 5, and that line was 5.5, and I actually caught the Knicks plus the 5.5. But the Bucks been kind of a mishmash. You got Damian Lillard, but you're not really doing much yet. It's going to take time to get cohesive, to gel. Jrue Holiday's not there anymore, so there's just some adjustments being made now. Knicks played strong in the fourth quarter to hang tough with the Bucks, and so the Bucks did not cover that spread. So we go to the Nets. Now, the Nets have been playing pretty well. They did lose to Boston by 10 the other day, but Brooklyn Nets have been playing really well. They beat the Heat. All these road scores. They beat the Hornets. They beat the Heat. They beat the Bulls, all as dogs, and then they pushed against the Boston Celtics. So you know what that means? That means that a lot of these bettors may be looking for the Brooklyn Nets to cover this tonight. And that's 5.5 right now, open at 5.5. I would probably look. Let me see the last matchup here again. Let me look at it one more time. 118, 113 last year. Yeah, I would look to, if I was doing this, if I was betting this game, I would look probably to try to back the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I don't know if that's possible. I'd have to look a lot closer. These numbers are super tricky. If you saw me with the WNBA, I'm just telling you what I would look to do. I wouldn't back the Brooklyn Nets. I wouldn't look to back the Brooklyn Nets. I would look to go the other way. Bucks been having trouble. Lines at 5.5. Can they cover the 5.5? I would look in the numbers, take a look, and see if that's possible. And if it is possible, I would play the Bucks. If I didn't see that, I'd stay off the game just because the Bucks are kind of uneven right now. I wouldn't want to back them. The Nets are strong, but they did have a tough game against the Celtics. Did they empty the tank against them? Maybe they did. We'll have to see what happens tonight, especially if you come home, you relax a little bit. What would happen? You got to kind of keep that in mind. Last game, we're going to go to the Boston Celtics at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay? And here's what I'd be looking here. Obviously, Boston's red hot. The line is the T-Wolves plus the 4, down to 223.5. Line's dropping. So a couple of things. That would mean that there's some credibility on a lower score. The reason might be a lower score, last time they played, it was 104-102. Boston beat the T-Wolves in Minnesota. Now, that matters because I think every game's a series, and you want to look and see what's going to happen next in the series, kind of like baseball. Same thing there. Obviously, points are a thing. But when you're looking at this, you see the last line they played was Minnesota getting 4. This line, same thing, 4, but this total is a little lower. So they're just matching what happened last year right now this year. They played March last year. They haven't played yet this year. So I'm looking at this right now, and I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And I will be honest with you, Two things pop out at me on this. Two things that I would try to look at. I would try to look at, since it's the same venue as it was last time, I would try to look to see, hey, can the T-Wolves stay inside this number? Can they? The Boston Celtics they've been steamrolling teams. A lot of people are going to bet the Celtics. As a matter of fact, I might, if I was you and I was going to bet the T-Wolves, if you were, you'd have to do some research. I'd wait till a later time today. You'd get a line probably a little more than 4. As far as the total, I would try to justify the under if I could, and if I was going to do the under, I would probably get 223. Tough. You already lost a little bit of value overnight. It opened at 227. That's what I'm showing here. I'm looking at covers.com, by the way. So just giving you some ideas of what I would do here. Give me a follow. Give me a like. I got a website coming up. It's already up, but I got to shoot a couple of videos for it. Appreciate you watching. What we'll do is we'll pick this up after the fact. Have a good day.